Good afternoon. Distinguished guests, esteemed panelists, and dear colleagues. It's a privilege to be here today to moderate what I believe is one of the most important conversations on the forum. So my name is Begüm Yontor Avcı. I serve as Senior Sustainability Director at the Coca-Cola Company, Eurasia and Middle East Operating Unit. And in this capacity, I have had the opportunity to see firsthand how the circularity principles we'll discuss today aren't abstract policy ideas. They're operational realities that determine whether businesses thrive in the next decade or struggle to remain relevant. So for most of the last century, our economic model has followed a simple linear logic. Take, make, use, and dispose. So we extract raw materials, we manufacture products, we consume them, and we throw them away. So this model fueled remarkable growth, but there was an end. As finite resources couldn't indefinitely sustain an economy built on the assumption that they are infinite. So whereas the circular economy offers a different logic. Instead of take, make, dispose, it asks, how do we keep materials, products, resources in use for as long as possible? How do we design out waste from the very beginning rather than managing it at the end? How do we regenerate natural systems instead of depleting them? I'm very much impressed with the growth story of Uzbekistan from the plenary session yesterday and also spending some time today in this very nice place. I think it's the perfect time to start investing in circular economy solutions to sustain Uzbekistan's growth story in the new chapters ahead. And there are three main gains of this circular economy approach. It ensures resource security. So countries that build circular systems like recycling infrastructure, regenerative agriculture, they reduce their dependence on volatile global economy. Investment competitiveness. Capital is increasingly flowing toward economies and companies that can demonstrate sustainable, resource-efficient operations. And obviously job creation and innovation. Circularity isn't a constraint on growth, it's a source of it. Collection and recycling infrastructure, remanufacturing, materials innovation. So these are new industries, new value chains, and new employment opportunities that simply don't exist in the old linear model. So at the Coca-Cola Company, so circularity it's not theoretical for us. Packaging, water stewardship, and supply chain resilience sit at the heart of our business model, so which is precisely why we take circularity so seriously. So because we acknowledge that our ability to operate depends on the health of our resource systems. So today we are very fortunate to have 6 panelists. They are the leaders in translating circular economy principles into real initiatives across very different sectors of the Uzbek economy. So over the next 1.5 hours, I want us to move beyond definitions and understand what is actually being built. So what are the barriers there? And what will it take to scale these efforts faster? But first of all, I will ask each panelist to briefly introduce themselves and their enterprise. Then we'll open a deeper conversation about their initiatives. So without further delay, let me turn to our first panelist, Mr. Sharifbek Hasanov.
Thank you very much. Actually, I am the head of the agency who is responsible for the waste management and development of the circular economy in Uzbekistan. It is a government body who regulates and coordinates all the activities related to the waste and the circular economy. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Alexandra Scott.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Alexandra Scott. I'm the president of the Global Environment and Technology Foundation. And our mandate is to build partnerships across government, private sector, civil society to advance sustainability objectives. And we've had a longstanding partnership with the Coca-Cola system and the Coca-Cola Foundation, supporting initiatives across the globe and across sustainability priorities. And I'm looking forward to the conversation today.
Thank you. Ms. Tatiana.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. So I am Sebastian Asiano, the Chief Strategy and Sustainability at Veolia. So Veolia is a French global utility working in the water, waste and energy business with a revenue of 45 billion euros and 200,000 employees in the world.
Thank you. Mrs. Dereli?
First of all, thank you so much for having us here. It's such a pleasure. And congratulations on the announcement yesterday. What an amazing achievement. My name is Zeynep Dereli. I am the international president of ODAŞ Group and also a board member of the group. And ODAŞ is a multinational conglomerate now. We have operations in Venezuela, in the United States, in Turkey, and also in Uzbekistan. We're in mining, in energy production, hospitality. And it will be a pleasure to talk about our perspective as, you know, it's not usual for a company like us to be speaking on this panel, so I look forward to it.
Perfect. Mr. Delaunay?
So Silver Delaunay, I'm in charge of Eurasia for Suez. Suez is a company with a long history, around more than 160 years. The name is coming from the Suez Canal. So in a certain way, the first private public initiative. We are in Uzbekistan and in Central Asia, but firstly in Uzbekistan as a strategic partner for water. We develop also currently some project in Pacific West, hazardous waste. Just a few examples, of course, we are present in France, in Europe. We deliver the water in Mecca. We have 40 GV in China. So if I may, if China choose a Suez solution, don't hesitate. And we are also very active, for example, in India. So when you are selected in India, it's because you bring value for money. Thanks a lot.
Perfect. And Mrs. Knox?
Thank you very much. It's my partner. I'm Belinda Knox. I'm the Managing Director of Environment Investments. Environment Investments is a wholly owned subsidiary of Itochu Corporation, a large Japanese trading house. And Itochu Corporation, like Suez, has actually been around for 160 years as well. And our mission is encapsulated in a Japanese phrase called Sampoyoshi. And Sampoyoshi means good for the seller, good for the buyer, and good for society. So in fact, this Sampoyoshi has been around for also, you know, quite very long time, 160 years. And we invest in environmental related projects, water, waste, and other renewable projects. So we're delighted to be here today because Uzbekistan presents a very nice opportunity for these types of infrastructure projects.
Thank you. So we can start with Mr. Kasanov. So you're representing the public sector. And when we talk about the circular economy, it's all about system thinking, right? So for you, what are the most urgent systemic gaps Uzbekistan faces in building a functioning circular waste management system? And how do you prioritize this work as the government?
How we organize, we make municipal waste in base of the public-private partnership in many regions. For recyclable waste, we already started to recycle some of the part. We are constructing right now 6 incineration plants to utilize municipal waste, and 5 is coming. So for all the regions, going to be 11 incineration plants, which can incinerate about 5.5 million tons of the waste per year and generate about 2 billion kilowatts hours of the electricity. So for systemizing what the government is doing, actually, we centralized everything. We had now the billing system. We make, so under the agencies, there are all the operators who are going to collect the waste and bring the place where you're going to be recycled or the utilized. And the money flow also controlled by the government, because, as you know, the infrastructure should be built for the investors, and therefore it is important that the government control the money flow.
Okay, basically, you prioritize energy recovery.
Somehow, yes. In some part, we've got the recyclable waste as well, like Coca-Cola. We're working with Coca-Cola, recycling their bottles. We're introducing ERP system here in Uzbekistan, extended responsibility of producers. We're gonna install the vending machines all around the country. And for that one, we made the government program. Very soon, it's going to be issued. And we're not only going to work with one company, but they're going to be for all of the players the same conditions that they could work in the market.
Yes, EPR is also on top of our agenda, but so let's wait for the second round to deep dive on the EPR topic.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Shall we move to Mrs. Scott? So actually, Global Environment and Technology Foundation, so they have been a long-term partner of the Coca-Cola Foundation, and I believe that Mrs. Scott will articulate a bit on how we work together. So my question will be in partnership with the Coca-Cola system. So your team has developed a partnership for a circular tomorrow, so which we have launched in May last year, proudly, to identify local innovations to advance circular economy solutions in the Eurasian Middle East region. So what types of solution has PACT identified, and what impact are they having in Uzbekistan and across the region?
Thank you for the question. Yes, so let me first maybe provide some context around what PACT, or the Partnership for a Circular Tomorrow, is. It's a platform, like Begum mentioned, that's supported by the Coca-Cola Foundation. We work very closely also with the Coca-Cola system in those markets to make sure that the solutions that this platform supports are relevant and contextualized locally. I want to emphasize the foundation contribution because I believe, and I've experienced in my work, that the role of philanthropic capital can be quite powerful in supporting innovations and enterprises like we are supporting through this initiative, where there's not yet the business case for a commercial investment. So I'm very grateful to the Coca-Cola Foundation for that support. This platform has been set up to work in, so far, 5 countries in the region, including Uzbekistan, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Kazakhstan, and Azerbaijan. And we have identified solutions that advance either innovation in circular economy with a focus on plastic and PET waste, or support informal livelihoods as they are for the waste livelihoods improvement for the informal waste management workforce, as they're quite a vital player in the waste collection ecosystems across all of these markets. The types of solutions that we've identified from an innovation angle have been much more focused around the digital space primarily. So digital applications for on-demand collection, creating a virtual marketplace to connect companies like those in the hotels and restaurants and cafe channels with who have supply of PET and recycled post-consumer product that needs to be picked up, and recyclers who are looking for that product to be dropped off. Other things include digital traceability solutions. So from everything from sorting, from collection, sorting, volume payment systems to enable better traceability, which will ultimately serve industry partners to make the EPR systems, to meet the needs and requirements as these EPR systems are set up. We've also supported enterprises who are expanding collection infrastructure to meet the need, the demand that they're generating. And some AI-based solutions as well, AI-enabled technology for material sorting and identification of contamination levels, things across that nature. So quite a lot of exciting innovations coming out of the region that we're really pleased to support. Did I answer Did I answer everything? Okay.
Yes, perfect. Thank you. And Mr. Daziano, so we can continue with you. So Veolia operates globally. So first, just for my curiosity, I want to ask, in how many markets do you operate today?
So we operate in quite more than 50 countries
50,
and
50.
working in wastewater and energy, so a lot of markets, countries, and activities.
Perfect. And specifically in the Tashkent district heating network, how do you manage this public-private partnership to modernize it? So could you set the context of this project a bit and the challenges you are working on?
Yes, with pleasure. First, I will say that circular economy is an important topic, not only for circular economy, but for the climate change more globally. And of course, a lot of countries, I will say every country, must face a big challenge against the climate change. And circular economy is very important in order to address this important topic. So regarding the activity of Veolia here in Tashkent, we start this activity in 2022, and Veolia Energy Tashkent is a vital proof of concept which demonstrates how a massive urban utility can transform historical systemic inefficiencies into definitive drivers of environmental and economic sustainability. So it was for us a huge challenge, but with a lot of achievements, and with addressing systematically the waste, the water preservation, and the carbon footprint, we actively convert traditional operational abilities into strategic catalyst for regional green development. So in July 2022, we started our operation year. We inherited a 30-year public-private partnership contract for Tashkent heating network. It was the first of its kind in Uzbekistan, and I will say the first in the region. The project involves modernizing a live, fully operational network that serves 1.2 million residents across nearly 2,000 kilometers of pipe. So a big asset, a big network of pipe. So big challenge for the city, for the Uzbek authorities, and for Veolia. And at this moment, the infrastructure was defined by severe technical deterioration, where nearly half of all heat generated was lost before ever reaching a consumer. So the challenge was, of course, to work about the efficiency of the asset, not for the efficiency of the asset, but for decarbonization and for efficiency of water, waste, and heat. And what we do was at this moment to shift the capital city from a passive distribution model to an active demand driver system that dynamically respond to real-time consumer consumption patterns, and supported by a $1.4 billion modernization program. This partnership demonstrates the Uzbek government commitment to demonopolizing strategic assets and to go beyond in order to work on the efficiency and to modernize the asset, and of course to decarbonize massively the operation in Tashkent.
Yeah, that's amazing. So were you able to measure the impact? So can you give us some ballpark figures in terms of how much heat loss these investments mitigated?
Yeah, with all the investment, we are now in capacity, if we are looking on 2022, to decrease by 46% the CO2 emission of the asset here in Tashkent city.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you. Yes, so we can move to Odash International, Mrs. Dereli. So you also work on the waste management. So with Uzbekistan expanding its green economic measures, so can you tell us how can public-private cooperation and technology transfer accelerate the implementation of zero waste principles, especially on the extended producer responsibility models?
Odash International, I actually did not share what we do in Uzbekistan. I mentioned that we are an investor here. We've been an investor in Uzbekistan since 2021. We actually operate a combined cycle gas to power station in Urgench region. And we provide electricity for half of the region. And we are an active participant in the social works as well. We're not just an investor there, but we feel like that we are part of the society, we're part of the fabric. We were the actually second company to sign a PPP agreement with the Uzbek government. So we were one of the pioneers. And because we have had direct experience in public-private partnership in Uzbekistan, I can talk from experience rather than just theoretically. And what I can say is Uzbekistan, especially through the Foreign Investors Council and all of the executive committees that are managed, they are really listening to the investors. And this is an amazing thing because without public-private partnership where we're learning from one another, learning from best practices, I don't think we can move very quickly. But when you have investors coming in from all types of countries, and this morning at the president's meeting, again, it was reassured that investment is flowing into Uzbekistan and it will continue to flow into Uzbekistan. This direct dialogue is extremely helpful. And Mr. Hassanov mentioned the extended producer responsibility actions, and we are really very glad to hear that. And of course, that is going to require a lot of cooperation between the private enterprises and the public, and also civil society. So it's like a three-legged tool that needs to be working in conjunction, not one more important than the other, but all of them combined together will work. And we are, as Odash, will be delighted to bring whatever experience that we have globally and to share it with our stakeholders. And as I said, I think it's important that the private investors don't see this as just, and I realize that none of us do. That's why we're all here, because we're committed to Uzbekistan's future, and we want to build Uzbekistan together. And sometimes, actually, when you're starting late in the game, it's not a bad thing. It's a wonderful thing because technology has progressed. So now you can utilize technology, AI, all of the different platforms, and have a great start without wasting time, and wasting any of the waste that is available.
That's amazing. I think the waste, it's a very big word because there are many different types of waste. So from Odash perspective, so what is your priority of waste areas? I'm asking this with my Coca-Cola hat because, you know, we are part of this post-consumer packaging EPR schemes. Is this part of your agenda or you're looking into more bigger waste streams?
Well, we are in energy production, and we are in all parts of energy production. So we have renewable energy, we have thermal. You know, when you're talking about waste, or there are many aspects to it. We do monitor. I will talk about it later, but for us, the actual waste that is produced at our plants, we believe in circular economy and bringing it back to something that is useful. And I would be very happy to talk about it in the next session.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Mr. Delaunay, so I understand Suez operates across markets at very different stage of their infrastructure, right? So when you look at Uzbekistan's current strategy today, so where do you see the need of Uzbekistan? So where do you think that the public-private partnerships can really make a difference to move it forward for the next 3 years?
Sorry, maybe I will first come back on the situation of Uzbekistan. Amazing demographic development. If you look at the number of new citizens welcomed by Uzbekistan, look at it per day. Every day you have 1,800 new people in Uzbekistan. What is amazing also, so it's a challenge, an opportunity. The increase of the GDP enables that the GDP per capita could still increase. But it means for us, for infrastructure, for sustainable, I would say, waste management, we have a responsibility. So there is I would say, a big pressure, demographic, economic. If you look at the situation, we are in different countries, but the aim is not to compare. What is important when you are in different country is that you have different expertise and you may tailor with your partner the proper solution for the country itself. Clearly in water, the sector, the infrastructure were underinvested since before the collapse of the Soviet Union. So the legacy is challenging. Sharif Bek refer to a lot of different initiatives. What counts is not the comparison, is the will to do some things, the political will and the awareness. If I refer to West, we have current discussion with our partner, the agency. What make a project is the proper legislation, the proper enforcement of the legislation, and to find the partner who are able to build up an economic project. And for waste and water, the specificity is that it requires more political courage because it requires support from the state. It requires subsidize some time. So it's important to have the state on board. And the state need partners who are not in a build and forget mindset. Personally, in Suez, we are a long-term operator. So when we build something, it's to operate it. In a certain way, we are the best advisor to the state to select the proper technology, to have the proper equipment. In different equipment, we are equipment agnostic, I would say. We have innovation center to test those products and to propose the product which makes sense. If I go very operationally, if you need smart meters, we not propose smart meters with turbidity analyze for the end user. It's like, sorry to take this image, to put a ceramic brake from Formula Adin on a Giguli. The first thing is to move to a Peugeot. We'll propose what makes sense. We will propose, I would say, to use properly the money of Uzbekistan. And when you look at the demographic development, it's important that this investor, this operator, could take it into account in terms of training, in terms of transfer of know-how. I will go back to the example in China. 30 years ago, we had 100 expatriates. Today, we have 5. Yes, it takes time, but we need to do this transfer. We need to be Uzbek in Uzbekistan at a certain point. So, and those projects are not made alone. They are made also in consortium. We are together with Itoshu today. When we speak, for example, on water, we could be also with Emirati company. On West, we are working with the agency firstly, who is leading the project, but with Saudi company. Yes, we are not in NGO, but we bring value for money. We need to attract investment. And because we are leading the project, we provide the guarantee that the project will be delivered at quality, at cost, on time, and we make the project bankable, I believe, for the lender, together with our partner.
That was very insightful. Thank you. Mrs. Knox, so you operate at the intersection of investment returns and environmental outcomes. So what does a genuinely bankable circular economy project look like in Uzbekistan today? And what is keeping more deals for reaching that threshold?
Yes, thank you for that. Yeah, we as IEI, we're perfectly correct. We look for environmentally improving projects that can also deliver returns for investors. So with respect to generically for PPP projects, I'm sure most people would be familiar with this, but you know, security of cash flows are very important to us. And in a waste project in particular, you will often have revenue streams such as incoming waste and outgoing electricity. So for a country that is embarking a new energy from waste project, often we have to deal across multi-ministries. And this is, you know, sometimes complex. So it behooves us all, if we have coordination across these ministries, so that it makes it easier for us to make the most optimum solution for the country. That's one aspect of a bankable PPP project. Secondly, we, of course, you know, a stable supply of either waste or water, be it quantity or quality, is also very important for the investor and for the bankability. What we see in waste in other countries generically is that waste collection has often been built up organically, such that there is sometimes leakage from the system, be it private operators or waste collectors or waste pickers per se. So when we're looking at a waste opportunity in a country, we'll look at it from a total ESG perspective. Firstly, from how we can secure the waste, either exclusivity or minimum guarantees, and also how we can ensure the livelihood of companies or people that may have been operating within that whole ecosystem, and we don't wish to substitute their livelihoods. So that's also important part of bankability, and particularly if we are bringing international finance from, IFIs or a, Japanese finance angle. So that's important for us. I think what's clear in Uzbekistan is the PPP law is robust and stable, and it's been embarked, as our fellow panelists have said. So that's extremely supportive for us, and it's very attractive. So that's keeping that stability is key for investor. Finally, I'd just like to say, a clear commitment from the government and working across ministries is important. We see it, we observe it, it's extremely attractive, and we'd like to transform that into a clear opportunity, for us.
Amazing. Thank you. So we finished the first round of questions. I have taken some notes, but I have also heard some comments to public authorities as well. So maybe Mr. Kasonov, you would like to answer some of them. I can just repeat, one comment was related with the state-driven partnership. So there was a comment saying that state need partners, and we will also allow to understand how does the government facilitate this? How does the government play a role to enable public-private partnerships?
Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, it's a very nice dialogue. Today I'm happy to join this one, actually. About our agency, probably many people, they don't know why it is established. As you know, our president has a new vision. So as our colleagues here mentioned, he wants to build some kind of car, the old car, make like a new modernized one. So therefore, the agency is established 2 years ago to facilitate between the government organizations and to bring all the projects to the life with a private partnership, with private partners. So we're gonna make the projects ready. We're gonna make the business plans as the government part.
You work like a think tank in a way.
Not think tank, but as a regulator. But at the same time, we're gonna coordinate the activities, all the organization, government organization related to the waste. As you mentioned, the waste is not only the municipal waste. There are lots of types of the waste. So we identified 14 types of the waste, and we're working with many partners right now. For example, with Vision and Suez, we're making the project with hazardous waste.
So in terms of waste hierarchy, so what is your priority in Uzbekistan?
It is a municipal waste because it's linked with everyday life of people and the communities, and therefore many things is related to the lifestyle and the segregation and other things. Why, for example, we've chosen to make the energy projects, the incineration plants, to make from the waste to the energy. Why not to get the segregated like other countries, like developed countries, Japan or the European countries? We haven't got such a culture from
I
the
don't agree.
yeah from the beginning. So now we just dumped in a downfills. We haven't got until now. We haven't got the sanitary landfill. We only have a downfills. We just dumped about 14 million tons of the waste each year, and we have to get rid of the waste. Except exaggerating the field of the landfill. So therefore, We just, at the initial point, we're going to incinerate the waste and they get the electricity, minimize that, and the rest of the waste, we're going to work with the private partners, the investors. Yes, we need capacity building. Yeah, we need the funding from our partners. And mainly mentioned about the ERP system as well. Yes, it wasn't introduced before in Uzbekistan. But President already instructed me so to make introducing the ERP system for all of the producers. How we gonna work? For example, in Russia, we could see that we learned all the practices. In Russia, it doesn't work very well. So we want to adopt the European ERP system. How it's gonna work? We're gonna get the utilization fee, or we're gonna create the condition for the producers that they could recycle by themselves. So there should be the zero waste initiative, or they have to pay the utilization fee, and we're gonna facilitate for them the new investors, and they're gonna make recycling for themselves, for them.
Yeah, that's very promising. But what I don't agree is about the habits of the Uzbek people. So for the post-consumer packaging materials, we do regular surveys to understand the collection rates. So basically collection for recycling rates. And it's very high. It's higher than most of the European markets. I can tell you, it's above 85%.
Yes.
So some of the European markets
No,
where
they
there
do.
is EPR on top DRS system, they hardly achieve this rate. So to me, the habits of the Uzbek people, it's already there. But they need the infrastructure.
Not only infrastructure, as you know, we haven't got such kind of culture of the segregation, what you're saying. For example, we put in one bin everything. So we can, yes, as a government, we can facilitate and provide people for the segregation, but we are teaching people from the kindergarten and the schools that they could go and teach their parents. Then, you know, they could segregate all the waste to be recycled. But right now it is impossible. We already had a pilot project and tested, and we can see it is impossible. So in Tashkent region, we already tested. So right now it is just waste of money. So therefore, yes, we are making infrastructure step by step. We've got the strategy. We're making the strategy until 2050. So for that strategy, they're going to be the incineration, they're going to be recycling, and they're going to be segregation.
Thank you. Then I can maybe move to my original question about EPR, because I know that you need to leave earlier. Before you leave, one last question. So about EPR scheme. How do you plan to ensure inclusivity of the upcoming EPR scheme? Because we know that the informal sector is very big in Uzbekistan.
It is. Right now it is very big, and it holds very big chunk of the economy. How we're going to introduce EPR system for all of the producers and importers. And as I mentioned, for example, only for the one bottles, we're going to make the vending machines. And the informal sector, who is, for example, just collecting from the outside, we're going to call them scavengers. Yeah, so we are making them formal to the operators. They're going to be employee for the operator, and they're going to help us to collect that waste from the outside and bring, and we're going to pay for them. So the EPR, generally, if we're going to talk EPR system, they're going to be subsidizing. We already created the fund under the National Committee of the Ecology. So all the utilization fee going to be collected from all of the producers if they not facilitate for the recycling. And we are bringing the new investors. They're going to be open bid, the tender, and we're going to say, all right, for the cars, for example, the many years Uzbekistan only collected the utilization fee, but we haven't utilized any cars. Right now, we start a new project. Very soon, you're gonna see it. We're gonna start the car utilization. And for example, how we're gonna work? First, the operator gonna buy the car. Car could cost, for example, for instance, 200 USD. But when you segregate all the parts, the car became like 100 USD, and the 100 USD the government should cover. Otherwise, the investor wouldn't survive in the market. So that system gonna work here in Uzbekistan. So it is not only promising like kind of ambitious achievements. It is already put aim by president, and by this year to 3,000 cars we have to utilize, and we're working on it. Yes, we're a bit late, but still we're gonna make a system with the government for the hazardous waste. It's gonna be the same. For example, they're gonna be the company. We're gonna facilitate to take all the tails and to be utilized fairly. Before, you're gonna just harm the ecology, and no one care about it. So in this matter, the ERP system gonna work. Thank you.
So this is very helpful. Thank you. And Ms. Scott, so based on your experience with Partnership for a Circular Tomorrow and also the Next Mile Ventures, so why do you think that these scavengers, the small to medium enterprises, are so important for the circular economy, and especially to ensure an efficient EPR scheme in our markets?
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that was already spoken to, but from our experience in Uzbekistan and across the region, we have been working with enterprises who have identified that those 85% collection rates are really driven by that workforce. There's a huge opportunity for harnessing the power and the potential of community-led collection, and the enterprises that can come into play both on the innovation side to provide the back-end digital technology to help formalize those, as well as bringing them into the formal job sector and workplace, will be transformational for the PET collection in particular and the circular economy. So they are the core infrastructure. Of course, the industry players and the government play a critical role around creating the enabling environment and the market conditions for those to be productive and healthy and safe workforce and value chain. But those small to medium enterprises, those core components of the value chain, they have trust in communities, they have reach, they have respect, and they're able to operate efficiently in kind of very rural and remote locations where you may not be able to see that from larger infrastructure and larger players. So they're quite critical in that sense. And yeah, so from what we've seen from our work together with those enterprises in Uzbekistan, that's been their core learning.
Thank you. Yeah, so
I'm
Mr.
really
Casanova,
sorry, yes.
indeed, he needs to leave. We
Was
really
a
thank
meeting.
him for taking the time, joining us today. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you. Okay, so we can continue with, so let me check the order. Yes, Mr. Daziano. So you mentioned about the focus of Veolia on emission reduction, but there is also a plan on the water resilience as well, right? And that's part of your total systemic transformation. So could you please articulate a bit more what does it mean for Veolia and how you can translate this ambition in Uzbekistan?
Thank you. So this total transformation of the district heating network in Tashkent is based about with three different pillars. The first one is about people, the second about finance, and the third one about digital. So speaking first about people, because of course the foundation relies on the local team, Veolia is infusing international operating discipline to transition field workers from reactive maintenance to highly trained specialists capable of managing the network for the next 3 decades. So invest with people is the first pillar. Second pillar is about finance, because of course, the project is based about the modernization program. I spoke before about the $1.4 billion investment plan. And this operational efficiency plan directly fund future network resilience, so meaning that it's a circular economy because financial efficiency authorized to finance the investment into the infrastructure upgrades. And this highly disciplined reinvestment model allows Veolia to accelerate the deployment of piping and pumping station new, well ahead of original schedules. And the third pillar is about digital. Veolia has deployed an advanced digital layer, including smart metering and the upgrade monitoring platform, converting the legacy infrastructure into an active, automated, and demand-driven system, so to implement a new digital system. And you were asking before what will be the achievement of this program, and I was spoken about the 46% of decreasing about the CO2 emission, so which is the equivalent of 200,000 cars in Tashkent city, but as well this commercial heat and water efficiency permitted to decrease from 41% to 27%. The losses, so meaning that it preserves 33 million cubic meters of water annually, and it is the equivalent of 13,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools. So in 4 years, we achieved huge results regarding the heat and water losses for the asset and the Tashkent city.
Thank you. And Mr. Eli, I think so far in terms of focus, we have talked a lot about the waste when it comes to circular economy. But we have also another very critical resource, maybe one of the most vital one, water. And maybe you can share with us, considering the regional water scarcity challenges, especially in the Central Asia and Uzbekistan, so what concrete strategies and commercial frameworks can industrial operators deploy to reduce their water usage?
As you rightly pointed out, Uzbekistan has a water scarcity. And actually where we are in Urgench region, it's an agricultural region, one of the largest agricultural regions in Uzbekistan. And we see that the water quality is changing and it's becoming saltier. So it's not only the amount of water, but the quality of the water that is available. I think we normally just talk about it in general, but as someone, I just wanted to point that out. I'm sure everybody is very well aware of it. But I think companies now are starting to realize that this is not just a policy issue. It has become an economic issue as well. You know, you need to make sure that this is economically better for companies to make sure that they have closed loop systems where they're able to treat, reuse the water that they need for their production, especially in a company like us that uses quite a lot of water. We take this very seriously, and we have invested significantly in our water treatment systems so that we can reuse our water. And we are in the midst of finalizing a new real-time water quality tracking system that we're installing so that because we're also next to agricultural fields. We take responsibility on that. And it's not only to decrease the amount of water that we use for our financial benefit, but it is for the public at large, making sure that we're able to help them understand that this is something that needs to be done collectively. And we provide a lot of training for our employees, and we have quite a lot of local employees. Actually, majority of our employees are now local citizens. And through the training that we provide, we're trying to train the public that we operate in, the city that we operate in. And we're also investing in a membrane system that is going to help us with our water quality. And these are things that, as I said, we take seriously. It's not only for economic reasons, but it's a whole package. We want to make sure that the region that we live in is prosperous, and that prosperity depends on agriculture. So it's circular in that sense as well. If we are causing any problems to the water quality in the region where there is agriculture, then it's going to be on us, because that region is now going to need less electricity when you think about it.
So beyond the water quality, do you also have replenishment targets within your watersheds?
We do, but I don't have specific information on that. You asked me a question that I did not study, but I would be very happy to answer and provide feedback on those targets that our team has prepared. But yes, we do.
Because as the Coca-Cola company, that's also how we manage our water usage. So obviously there's a lot of job to be done inside the fence, but we have also a duty for beyond the fence operation, because we share these watersheds with the local communities, with the ecosystems.
Yes, but where we are is a little bit more complicated, if I may be frank, because of the agricultural usage, and
It's very high, right, in this region.
huge.
80% of the
and
total
they
fruit.
plant rice
Yeah.
in a water scarce region. So this is a little bit beyond our control, actually.
Helpful. Yes, and Mr. Delaunay, do we want to build on top specifically on the water domain?
We spoke about preserving, in fact, the water resource. And as we speak about circular, I would like to insist on alternative source of water. We are developing currently the future project for the main wastewater facility for Tashkent. The effluent will be at a Euro Plus standard. What does it mean? It means that the municipality could reuse them for direct irrigation. In some countries like Singapore, the wastewater is re-injected in the aquifer and after treated to drink it. So often when you need water, if the sea is closed, which is not the case here, people think about desalination. But think firstly about proper reuse of wastewater. So having proper wastewater system, proper reuse of wastewater is part of the cycle to try to preserve the resource. After, if we go at the initial resource, understanding your network, we digitalize. Digitalization is our everyday work in operation. We digitalize, I would say, Tashkent network, what we name geographic information system. When we came, people told us, okay, approximately we have 5,000 kilometers of tubes. We digitalize 8,000, 9,000 kilometers of tubes. We know we are around 35,000 device, chamber, equipment, and things like that. When you know where is your network, you are able, after, the first thing is to put meter, you are able to try to tackle what we call NRW, non-revenue water. But let's say, firstly, the leaks. If I refer to the co-management contract of Tashkent, we save around 30 million cubic meter per year linked to additional leaks that we identify on top of what our partner used to do, and mainly invisible leaks. Those 30 million cubic meter of water is a consumption of a city of 600,000 people. Tashkent, officially, we are around 3.5 million people. Maybe we are at more, and you know that the target is at 7 million. So taking care of your network about avoiding the leak, firstly, it's positive, but also it's investment saving. Because if you avoid the leak, you have to build up less production facility for potable water. If you have less production facility for potable water, you need less wastewater facility. So managing the operation, knowing your operation, is the first source to save huge amount of money in terms of investment. On top, that it's very positive for the environment. And I think each time you will have, I hope, because construction could take time, around 2030, a wastewater facility with a standard. If you don't reuse it for agriculture, put it back in the aquifer to recreate some reserve. It goes with pedagogy. It goes with pedagogy, with the actor, with the national company and so on. But after, we have to think also about the pedagogy to the citizen. And just one example, I like to be very practical. When you speak with somebody, when you tell to a person, okay, what are your consumption of water? 2 cubic meters. If you tell him 2 cubic meters, 2 tons, it starts to understand what it represents. And it starts to understand whatever the tariff, because the tariff is a political decision. It starts to understand what it could represent. And step by step, you may change by having meters, knowing the consumption, by doing some pedagogy, you may change a bit, I would say, the behavior of the people to preserve this resource.
That's very helpful, and especially your point about this non-revenue water, this water loss all through the pipes before it ends with the final consumption point. It's a very major gap, and that's a major gap across all the markets. And we have been actively working on it because there's a lot of potential in terms of bringing replenishment benefits. And with this today's AI technology, it's so easy to detect so where this leakage is happening. So you can say that almost 99% accuracy. So this is where you need to fix. But the challenge is, who is going to fix it? Is it accountability of the municipalities or the governments or the regions, the mayorship? So that's the main challenge of investing in the non-revenue water area. So what is your experience, or were you able to crack the code so far in any market?
Water looks like easy industry, but it's super complex industry. It's not so easy to fix. To reform a sector, you need a leadership from the head of state. And Mr. President, His Excellency, I remind you that he used to be graduate from Irrigation Institute, if I'm not wrong, has a proper awareness about water. What happened also with the RLC, what currently happened with the reality of the scarcity, sorry to take time, but Abu Daria is one of the main rivers with the Sidaria, but you know the canal which is under construction in Afghanistan, what will be taken from there. You know also the Koshtepa Canal, you know the Karakum Canal through Turkmenistan, taken from Amu Daria before Amu Daria is going back in Uzbekistan to reach what used to be the Grand Aral. It's a reality. The president is fully aware. And if you want to change the things, you need this impulsion from the top. Why? Because the knowledge is not always there. Because often people think, let's invest every year, which doesn't change anything if you don't change the operation. So you need this awareness. About the non-revenue water, it's also a change of mindset. I will give you an example. I refer to different countries where we are operating. So I will not say where it is, but you will guess. In a lot of cities, we could have a company operating the water of one part of the city. A national company keep the other part. They do a copy-paste of what we did. You start to guess about the country. They do a copy-paste of what we did. And what is very interesting, after 30 years, we are still operating. Why? Because the management style is different. When you have a problem, you try to find the guilty guys on one side. When you have a problem, you try to find a solution. And if you don't, of course, if the guilty guy is repeated, you will find him. But the question is not to blame the people, is to have access about the problem. And NRW is that. You need to understand where are the leaks. You need to have people explaining the things. Digitalization is key, because if you repair 10 times on the same pipe, maybe it's time to change it. Economically, it makes more sense. Sorry, I'm very practical, but it's I would say the daily life, if you want really to protect the resource. And again, if you have investment project, I will support my company, but if you want investment project, give it to somebody who will operate what you will build, because he will build something proper. And he will tell you which investment is needed for the operation, which investment is needed to decrease the NRW and so on, and what makes sense. It's of key importance if you want to modernize. So it's a global ecosystem in a certain way, a clear lead for the legislation, for the push, the awareness of the national company, a lot of pedagogy, up to the operator. And health and safety is of key importance, because it's not only health and safety, it's a way to work. It's a way to be quality-minded. So all those change of mindset will converge in an improvement of operation and in a proper tackling, in fact, of the NRW, among other issues.
Perfect. Thank you. Very insightful. And Mrs. Knox, I think we discussed a lot about water, and obviously, as across the same challenges for any sustainability topics. So getting the right financial investments, it's the major challenge, and it's the ultimate, let's say, enabler. So what would you suggest in terms of the change in the regulation could be related with the data availability or market structure to mobilize significantly more private capital into water projects in Uzbekistan? So what is the way of doing it right?
So I think if I can touch on both water and waste, because I think waste is very well covered earlier by Mr. Kasimov. But when we were speaking a little bit before about pilot programs and your DRS and your ERP programs, that was interesting to hear, because what we found, which is starting to mobilize capital in the United Kingdom, is that we did a whole bunch of pilots on deposit return schemes, and
it is still postponed, right? Keep postponing.
The ERP, it's embarked.
No, DRS in UK keeps
DRS
postponing since 2019,
and
18.
That's right, and that's partly why, because the pilots, in fact, were not really that successful, actually.
Same in Turkey.
Okay, so but what and the EPR, of course, is being embarked in the UK. But what is happening in the UK is the DRS is not so successful, and the EPR, there was concern from the municipalities of how they could enable EPR. So in fact, it's a central government that's legislating EPR in the UK, and that is starting to drive new investment in waste in the UK, insofar as it's no longer necessarily for energy from waste projects, rather it's up the value chain for superior high-tech digitalized materials recycling facilities. So that is a result of a failed pilot scheme, actually. And so that's interesting. And I hear from in Uzbekistan that, be working more on SMEs for EPR, and that, may provide a much better result, because it might incentivize people, to a greater extent. That's on the waste side. On the water side, when we look at what else we can drive for our investment, waste and energy, as our other co-presenter identified, they've already had successful PPP programs and successful implications. So we would like to transpose that for water. I think for water, it also needs identification of the value of the recycled product. For example, a sludge or others. Same for waste, in terms of valuing materials that are coming out of what we would call, waste products from the waste, incinerated bottom ash. Those types of things that, if legislation is embarked whereby people must purchase or acquire a percentage of these types of recycled products, that will also incentivize investment, because it's an ancillary revenue.
Very helpful. Yeah, I think we covered all our questions. So imagine that we have the Mr. President in this office with us. I really would like to hear your one last message you would like to land in the Tashkent International Investment Forum. Shall we start with Alexandra?
Sure. Your Excellency, I would say with my focus, of course, and passion is around building bridges across private sector, civil society, communities, public sector. And the circular economy is a really powerful opportunity to do that. I would urge and emphasize His Excellency to be thinking through how to create positive incentives to make these ecosystems and these value chains strong that support both the economy and the environment. And I would thank him in advance for investing in that.
Especially happening
Yes.
today,
exactly.
right? Yeah, thank you.
So for me, it's my first time in Tashkent, and we can see in the street and in the city and more globally in the country, the dynamic, the economic growth, and the willingness to develop. But in order to have a sustainable economic growth, we need sustainable infrastructure. And for us at Veolia, we can see the Tashkent model as a highly scalable blueprint for the rest of the country for three reasons. The first one is about the capacity to have a good replicability, because we think that it could be a model for the rest of the country in order to develop similar infrastructure challenges. The second pillar is about decarbonization. I spoke before about the massive decrease of the CO2 emission in Tashkent, but you have a lot of challenges in the rest of the country. So, of course, it could be a very good model for Uzbekistan globally. And the third pillar will be about the capacity to develop people and the local expertise. And of course, to be in capacity to build a new generation of people in order to address this challenge to form a new generation. And more globally, I would say, like the other panelists, that the Tashkent model of district heating operated by Veolia now is a good example of a long-term public-private partnership in order to develop a critical urban energy infrastructure. And we can develop this kind of infrastructure for energy, but as well for water and waste.
Thank you very much. And Mrs. Dereli.
As I mentioned, as an investor who's been here since 2021, with the framework of a PPP contract, I can say that the president and the current leadership, they're doing an excellent job. Of course, what is needed, I would say, what would be better, actually. There is a golden triangle. None of these things work on their own. So you need the policymakers, the will of the policymakers, which is very strong and heavily felt by all of us. You need the investors, but then you need society. So it is the golden triangle that would work exceptionally well. And I see that the will of the people, the policymakers is there. Legislation keeps changing, sometimes too abruptly, if I may say so, catching us a little bit off guard. But hopefully we will be able to get better prepared for these and work together with the policymakers. And then there is the investment, and the investment interest is still continuing strong. The third pillar, the societal angle, where we help with knowledge transfer, with creating local jobs and making sure that this becomes a sustainable circular economy, is on both of the sides. You know, we need to work together, and hopefully this is something that we can help achieve. If each company takes at least their region to assist with this transition, I think we will be at a wonderful place. Thank you.
Thank you. Amazing. Yes, and Mr. Delaunay.
With the president, it was this morning during the Foreign Investment Council, but the short answer is continue. But if I have to elaborate, is continue to have the long-term vision, continue to challenge the investor, to challenge your own team to lead, to try to, I would say, limit some process, administrative process, continue to develop a solution which is the PPP with an associated Swiss challenge. Why? Because so that you can select your partner, trustable partner who want to be committed in the long term. You challenge them because the Swiss challenge, we cannot hear it's too expensive. It's during the Swiss challenge, you have a competition. You will see clearly if your price is competitive or not. But at least you may build a project with selected partners who are more committed, I would say, in the long term. So continue with a lot of things, but it's this vision, the will to do, the leadership, the aim to simplify, the ability when you are in the Foreign Investment Council to be able to listen to the people, to understand the problem. And I'm always very surprised, whatever the sector, you know about what we are speaking about, it asks the right people, and you are called just afterward to go for a meeting. So it is efficient. So just continue.
That's amazing. Thank you. And Mrs. Knox.
Thank you for the last comment. I think that, I do echo all of my panelists' comments. I think that Itochu is a long-term investor. We actually have been in the country for 30 years. We've invested in the mining and resources sector over the past 30 years, and we supply Isuzu trucks. So we have been here and we're here. That's certainly our message to the president. We would like to make our infrastructure investment sooner rather than later. And why? Because we see the network effect of making the first infrastructure investment creates a further infrastructure investment. So for us, we're patient and we're long term, but we'd also like to see, the acceleration of that.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all your insights, sharing your perspectives, experiences so openly. I think it was very helpful, very insightful for all of us. I would like to conclude our panel, first of all, thanking all of you. And I will also echo what all our esteemed panelists said. I think this Tashkent International Investment Forum, it's a very solid demonstration of this public-private partnership endorsement of the ministries and also the government overall. So we really appreciate that. It's a clear insight that, so this is going to be also a long-term partnership. And also from the Coca-Cola end, as Mr. Dolan also mentioned, so we also operate in many markets. So in terms of the EPR schemes, in terms of the water replenishment work, water efficiency projects, so we have also a lot that we can share as best practices from different markets. I think in terms of this exchange, there's also a lot to share across the industries, not only waiting this guidance or facilitation from the government. I believe that could also be an opportunity to help us to move to the next stage together. Thank you so much. Thank you.